If you are looking into buying a Rolex Pepsi, then make sure you watch this video before you pull the trigger. Hi, Brendan here again. Thanks for watching. Great to see you. And in this video, I'm going to review my Rolex Pepsi. And actually, I'm going to compare it to some other considerations in the market. So let's get into the video and I'm going to show you the ins and outs and share my ownership journey of this fantastic piece. So before we get under the camera, I just want to talk you through the ownership journey of this watch. Firstly, you will see this piece has a slightly discoloured pinky red bezel, and that's because it's actually the very, very first Pepsi released in 2017. It's Mark I bezel, and I've got to say, I love it. I actually like it more than the real red Pepsi bezel. I think it's just a little bit different and a bit cooler and works well with a modern interpretation of the watch. And I love this piece because when you put it on, even though it's a modern watch, you really feel like you're going back 20 or 30 years. The Jubilee bracelet just delivers. It's just such a beautiful interpretation of that kind of retro fit. And I think they've done an incredible job with this piece. But I have to draw your attention to the older GMT-Master II version. This was the first Pepsi, this was the second Pepsi that I bought. And both are incredible. I love them both. But when you look at them side by side, this one really is an understated but incredibly cool variant for me. So you gotta see them for, they're part of the same family, but it's like this is the older, cooler family member. Look at the way that bezel just really pops on the wrist and almost goes under the radar at the same time. I love that piece. I think it's absolutely epic. Versus the Pepsi modern day Mark I. I mean, tell me what you think in the comments, which one you prefer. This is the newer interpretation of it. I think there's just a lot more kind of steel going on here, a lot more, it flows unbelievably well, but in contrast to this one, a little bit more reserved. And let's be honest, if you were looking at buying a Pepsi these days, today, you probably get this for 50–60% of what you would pay for this one. You would probably get this for, yeah, no more than 2/3. If you want a really good top-end full set, for sure you can go higher, pay kind of anything you want really, and there are lots of different dial variations and bezel variations that add value to this watch. So do your research on that. But if you want a fairly, let's call it a bog standard, if there is such a thing for a Rolex Pepsi, a bog standard Rolex Pepsi, you're going to pay 2/3 of the price of what you would pay if you went for this one in the Mark I variant. Let's get under the camera and I'll show you the side-by-side comparisons and then you can make your mind up. So let's take a look at these two iconic timepieces, the Rolex Pepsi. And firstly, I just like to have a look at them. Let's just look at them moving, how they glisten, and you can observe this piece here, much more shiny, blingy, this piece more understated. But actually, both of those bezels really still pop. You're still getting a strong presence from the 5-digit piece, as well as obviously the Mark I 6-digit piece. So it really depends on what you want in a watch. Let's take a look at the newer piece to start with. So, of course, here you've got a high performance watch. You've got a ceramic bezel, you've got solid links, a clasp that is absolutely bulletproof like all Rolexes are. Obviously you've got the GMT movement, you've got the maxi dial, the lume, serious power reserve, I think around about 80 hours on this newer Rolex movement. And, you know, it wears really, really well. I put it on the other day. in preparation for this video, and I was like, I really don't want to take this off. It just works. And it doesn't actually wear too big. It wears, I think, because of the Jubilee, slimmer and more elegantly than, say, the newer Submariners. And it has a look and a feel about it that I think cuts above a lot of pieces out there for sure. Now let's compare with the 5-digit reference, the GMT-Master II. Totally different. Not as blingy, not as shiny. Wears slimmer, definitely. Still really elegant on the wrist. And I've got to be honest, I think all things being equal, I actually do prefer this piece to the newer one. It's more wearable for me. It's more timeless, I feel. But I can see that the modern day piece is going that way. And if you look at that and you think, what will this one look like in another 20 years? It probably is going to feel like this one. They both are classic pieces. You cannot go wrong with either one. Now, a couple of things to consider with this. So you've got the Mark I bezel there. If you want the full red bezel, then go with the Mark II or newer, and that will give you a more pronounced red look on these bezels. You've got the GMT-Master II here, but actually you could go with the GMT Master, and that's even slimmer than this piece. So you'd go a little bit older and you'd go with a GMT Master. That's actually a piece that I am looking for at the moment. I actually would like to own this as a GMT Master, so I want the Jubilee, probably with a dated bezel, dated dial as part of the collection. I kind of want to put that there on the next video, but all in good time, eh? But if you want an even slimmer version, you could go with the GMT Master, not the GMT Master II. So that's food for thought. But in truth, it's personal preference as always. They're both great watches. They're going to serve you well. They're going to perform well. You just need to decide which you like best. Comment with your thoughts, and let's get back to the closing remarks, the closing comments in this video. So there you go. There's a good insight into two different Rolex Pepsi watches. Which one is your favorite though? Tell me your thoughts and what's next on your watch collecting journey, whether it's a Rolex, an AP, whether it's a micro brand, whether you're going Seiko, Tissot. All watches have their place. They're all absolutely cool, and doesn't matter what your budget is, you can enjoy the watch hobby. Really hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for being a follower of the channel, and make sure you hit subscribe. If you've not subscribed already, then you don't miss another video. Hit that bell icon, give me a thumbs up, and share your comments and thoughts below, and I'll see you on the next video.